In every one of these gray little strips, a ghost awaits. A moment trapped in silver and plastic, a memory frozen just outside of time. We shoot film to feel something, to slow down. But then comes the hard part, to bring these moments back to life. You must first choose your method of resurrection. On one side, we have the faithful guardian, the traditional path. A machine that promises meticulous, pixel-by-pixel revival. It's the patient, watchful undertaker promising to treat every ghost with dignity and its own sense of time. On the other, we have this monster, a modern contraption built from parts that were never meant to meet. The bleeding edge sensor of a flagship camera, staring down the barrel of a cheap 50mm lens, connected through an adapter that may or may not speak the same language, and held in place by the hollow plastic hope of an extension tube. Two completely different philosophies for waking the dead. One is a patient established ritual, the other a jolt of high voltage modern alchemy. But which one is better? Is one just a new way to be disappointed? Is the other an agonizing wait for a perfection that doesn't exist? Today, we find out. We're putting them head to head in a direct comparison of time and image quality. It's the established ritual versus the cobbled together experiment. Let's go resurrect some ghosts. And so the ritual begins. On this side, we have the slow, methodical march of the V600. This is the penance you pay for the analog experience. It's a special kind of zenless meditation. You load the strip, close the lid, and say a small prayer to the dust gods. Then you wait. You listen to that gentle, grinding whir, and you wonder if you could have learned a new language in the time it takes to scan one roll. Every minute that ticks by feels like a tiny piece of your soul being digitized right along with the film. The camera setup, on the other hand, trades one kind of madness for another. Instead of passive waiting, you get active, repetitive labor. You're not waiting for the machine anymore. You are the machine. Align, check focus, click. Slide, align, check focus, click. You become a human assembly line, mass producing digital ghosts, and with every click, a new, fun anxiety pops up. Was that perfectly in focus? Was the negative truly flat? Did I just capture a beautiful 24-megapixel photograph of a cat's hair? Two very different kinds of work. Two very different paths to the same destination. Now, let's see what all this suffering was for. Alright, all the negatives are digitized, the editing is done, and the results are complicated. First, let's talk about the one thing I expected to be a clear win, and that's time. This is the big surprise. After I finished scanning all my film straight to JPEG and doing a few minor edits, and then finished shooting all the negatives on the R6, sorting them, converting the RAWs, and editing them, the total time was almost exactly the same. A few minutes difference. Now, before you say I should have scanned the TIFF for quality, I did try it. The V600 can scan the TIFF, but it takes twice as long as the JPEGs, and the files are 10 times the size. And when I compared that TIFF to the high quality JPEG of the same scan, the quality difference was almost impossible to see. For this test, it's just not worth the hard drive space or the will to live. So if the time is a tie, it all comes down to quality. And this is where we see a real difference. When you put the scanner's best JPEG up against the final image from the camera's RAW file, the camera wins. It's just better. There is visibly more detail, the grain is clearer, and the overall quality feels a step above. But, and this is a huge but, my camera setup is flawed. These cheap meike extension tubes, they work, but they create a soft out of focus circle around the image. This means I'm only really using a small inner part of my 20-something megapixel sensor to get the full negative. A proper macro lens would let me use much more of the sensor's area, which means I could capture even more detail and get even higher quality. Finally, let's talk about the most painful part, and that's cost. The V600 scanner will set you back about $900 plus minus, depending where you live and what if you buy it new or used. This entire camera rig, as you see in this video, the R6 Mark II, the adapter, the lens, the tubes, is about $3,000. But that's my setup. Let's look at your options. If you already own a digital camera and a macro lens, your cost is basically $0. If you, like me, have a camera but just a regular lens, these extension tubes were about $20, and a good light table to put under the film is about $70. So for under $100, you could get started with camera scanning. And of course, I've put Amazon links to everything I use down in the description below. So, what's the real takeaway here? We've proved you can build a high-speed resurrection machine out of spare parts, and we've proved it can pull more detail out of these little gray ghosts than the patient undertaker in the corner. But this is just 35mm. This story isn't over. The real test is coming up next. We're going to put these two methods to work on medium format. Will the V600's larger scanning bed finally give it an advantage, or will the camera rig just pull even further ahead? And after that, we'll even try it with large format. We're going to keep asking the question, in the modern day, is a dedicated scanner with its high price and its agonizing soul-crushing weight ever the better choice? Or is investing in one good versatile macro lens, a lens you can use for film, for portraits, for anything, the one tool that truly rules them all? We're just getting started. If you want to see where this goes, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, my friends.